Background. This video came around from a suggestion from one of you lovely watchers. Without suggestions like this, I would have never heard of Angellala Creek, let alone its bridge, and even less so the explosion that destroyed it. I'm not going to lie, I'm writing this script off the back of my Westgate Bridge video, which has done pretty good in its first few days since publishing. But I fear this video may be slightly shorter due to the slightly less available amount of information about the bridge's history and what eventually happened to it. This is the Mitchell Highway. It's an outback state highway that spans the central and southwestern regions of Queensland and the northern and central western areas of New South Wales in Australia. It stretches a whopping 1,095 kilometres or 680 miles, varying from multi-lane motorway down to what looks like to the British/Irish eye as a B or R road. It's not a minor road though, as it is a vital link aiding in shorter journey times from Darwin to Sydney. Like all roads, almost anywhere on this green and ball thing we call home, various peaks and troughs have to be smoothed out to ensure traversing through an area is as comfortable and as safe as possible. One such smoothing out is traversing the Angellala Creek, which is the focus for our story today, and in our case it was done via a bridge. The bridge is named very beautifully BIS 16171. It spans Angellala Creek, and as seen in its 1972 plans, had 5 spans, with the deck consisting of prestressed concrete roadway units, transversely stressed and surfaced with a layer of asphalt. The deck is held up by 4 reinforced concrete piers and 2 reinforced concrete abutments, which were cast in situ during its construction. And also the site is around here on my cheap eBay Australia map. The bridge is pretty unremarkable, something you just drive over and not have a second thought of. It did have a neighbour, and this was a disused railway bridge. But although serving the highway thanklessly for decades, it would not make it past 2014, which leads us onto our next section of this video. The disaster. It is the 5th of September 2014, and at around 8:35 in the evening, in Charleville, a Kenworth prime mover and 3 trailers pass by. They're carrying 52.8 tonnes of ammonium nitrate in 44 bags, each weighing 1.2 tonnes. The load is dangerous, and the truck's total journey was long, but the driver had quite a bit of experience, having travelled the route quite often between South Australia and Gladstone very consistently over the past year. The truck is heading southbound along the Mitchell Highway. As the truck approaches the bridge, the driver saw a fire coming out from the engine bay of his Kenworth. This was not too far from the creek bridge. The driver pulled over the truck off to the side of the road. As he steered off-road, part of the truck struck the guardrail near the Creek Road bridge, causing the vehicle to roll over. The fire spread after the tractor hit the ground on its side, as the fuel tanks became ruptured. A larger fire ensued, gradually engulfing the truck's contents. At around 9 PM, a car arrived on the scene and the driver went in to assist the truck driver. This was followed by another truck heading northbound, whose driver also went to assist. Shortly after, a second truck, also travelling on the north, stopped. Due to poor phone signal in the area, one of the assisting people went off to a nearby farm to call 000 to request emergency services. The first of such emergency services arrived on scene around 10 PM, followed by another just a few minutes later. It had taken roughly 30 minutes between the initial fire and the first of the 2 fire appliances to arrive. However, the first fire crew noticed something rather concerning about the truck's cargo, and this was the ammonium nitrate. It hadn't been communicated to them on the 000 service due to none of the people reporting it realising what the truck was carrying. Ammonium nitrate gets very explosive-y when exposed to enough heat, and what's more, it was noticed that some of the truck's contents had spilled out onto the roadway, all the way down to the truck's final resting place. Police car also arrived on the scene around the same time as the second fire truck. At around 11 minutes past 10 PM, a small explosion, as described like fireworks going off, rang out from the truck. Not needing any more warning, all the first responders backed off from the crash scene. As they scrambled for safety, a second, much more larger and violent explosion erupted out from the truck, completely obliterating the vehicle. The shockwave of the explosion hit the creek bridge and the rail bridge next to it, completely wiping out the former and knocking down the latter. The 2 fire trucks that were nearby were completely demolished along with the sitting police car. The explosion was estimated to be around 10 to 15 tons equivalent of TNT. Miraculously, as the debris and smoke scattered around, no one had died, which means I'm going to be able to hit this magical button. A police sergeant would later be quoted saying their theory to the lack of death. We believe possibly the location of the truck and where it's exploded and the construction of the roadway may have shielded them slightly from the majority of the blast, but there is a significant amount of debris, shrapnel from the truck, and concrete from the destroyed road bridge and highway that has been thrown a significant distance from the initial explosive site. It is truly amazing when sizable debris was found 1 kilometre away from the site of the crashed vehicle that no one was actually killed. Due to the dangers of any remaining ammonium nitrate, police and fire services would set up a 2-kilometre exclusion zone around the site for a few days. This was to aid in the clean-up operation. And in the immediate aftermath, the highway was shut down to road users, necessitating a 600-kilometre detour. Just for reference there, that's nearly the entire length of England as a road detour. It would be removed when on the 7th of October 2014, a side track along the creek had been upgraded to support road vehicles. 8 people were injured in the explosion and they were sent off to local medical centres for emergency treatment. And again, no one died, although the truck driver was hospitalised for quite some time. Investigation. Due to the explosion completely eradicating the truck, the exact cause of the initial fire couldn't really be investigated beyond a statement from the severely injured driver. The 2 prevailing theories would be either a split fuel line and the fuel leaking onto the engine's hot exhaust and igniting, or an electrical arc igniting some leaking fuel. Clearly there'd been a very intense fire, estimated at over 1,000 degrees centigrade. This was found out due to the presence of melted ammonium nitrate and aluminium. The second explosion, which was the most devastating, also couldn't have a definitive cause settled upon. Instead, a few likely beginnings were penned in the official report into the blast, saying, "The cause of the initiation of the second explosion could not be clearly determined. The probable cause scenarios leading to the second explosion following the fire include thermal explosion or cook-off, deflagration under pressure, heat conduction and chemical reaction, detonation, shockwave driven, either direct shock detonation transition or deflagration, detonation transition, or water hammer / concerted void collapse, i.e. a hotspot." The bridge's failure was hardly a surprise, as they generally aren't designed to withstand a small bomb going off right beside it, and quite understandably as well. The investigation did find some underlying issues, not so much with the truck, as it was deemed to be well looked after, but with the fact that the dangerous cargo was not correctly communicated to the first responders. This was due to the initial fire burning up the manifest, emergency procedure guide, placards and emergency information panels aboard the truck, which would have very well warned the first responders of the deadly cargo the truck was carrying. Likely if they'd seen these, an exclusion zone would have been set up straight away at a safe distance. But it does seem like the accident was a lot of bad luck followed by some real good luck on the day. However, like all things, there were some recommendations. This included more secure screens alongside the truck trailers intending to hold the loads during crashes better, and to communicate ammonium nitrate transport routes to emergency services and remote communities for pre-planning of emergency responses, among other recommendations that were posited. So that's my video on the Angellala Creek Bridge disaster. It's going to be a 2 on my scale, and this is what I've got for my root cause analysis card. Do you agree? Let me know in the comments below. This is a Plain Default production, all videos on the channel Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike licensed. Plain Default videos produced by me, John, and are currently mild corner of southern London, UK. And all that's left to say is thank you very much for watching.